All right, so our project is Alzheimer's disease, and it's by Mary, me, Jacob, and Dylan. So Alzheimer's is a progressive disorder that causes brain cells to degenerate and die. And Alzheimer's is the most common cause of dementia. And this type of dementia affects memory, thinking, and behavior. Alzheimer's disrupts a person's ability to function independently, which interferes with their memory and cognitive function in daily life. And Alzheimer's is not associated with aging and progressively worsens over time. So some symptoms include memory loss, confusion, disorientation, mood and behavior changes, and loss in cognitive function. So when a person is experiencing memory loss, they will often repeat statements and questions over and over. With confusion, they'll have difficulty concentrating and thinking with certain concepts, especially with the concept of numbers. When a person with Alzheimer's is disoriented, they'll have difficulty planning, performing familiar tasks such as bathing and changing. Mood and behavioral changes can occur as well, which then leads to depression, mood swings, and social withdrawal. And for cognitive functions, they'll have difficulty speaking, swallowing, and walking. And these are caused because neurons are injured in the brain, which then affects brain regions to shrink, which is also known as brain atrophy.
Cell signaling pathways. So the pathway in a healthy neuron. So in a healthy neuron, pretty much the nerve cells communicate using electrical signals and through junctions, also called synapse. And at synapse, hormones are released, or neurotransmitters, in order for ions to flow through an ion channel, which will lead to cellular response and cellular communication. With a pathway in a neuron with Alzheimer's disease. So these are characterized with the presence of amyloid plaques and intracellular neurofibrillary tangles. So for plaques, these pretty much impair the neuron in ways that they block the ion channels, which in turn messes with calcium ion regulation, homeostasis, stresses the neuron, impairs the metabolism, and can lead to cell death, and as well as tangles. And pretty much these tangles lead to the apoptosis or cellular suicide of a neuron. So the correct mechanism, so the correct way for a neuron to operate is that APP, or the amyloid precursor protein, is supposed to be cleaved by secretase in order to generate an SAPP and a C83 terminal fragment. And the SAPP is associated with like a normal neuron, that they function normally, and leads to like normal learning, memory, and behaviors, and so on. As well, in a normal neuron, there is a normal amount of phosphorylation on the tau protein, which relates to microtubule production, and that in turn there are no neurofibrillary tangles. And the incorrect mechanism, in the incorrect way, so in a disease cells, APP is cleaved by beta secretase and Y secretase instead of the alpha secretase, and this releases an extracellular fragment of A40 and A42 peptides, and these lead to plaque formation and eventually block cell communication and cause the cell to die. As well as plaque, there's neurofibrillary tangles, which are caused by the hypophosphorylation of the tau protein, which, if there are too many neurofibrillary tangles, they lead to cell apoptosis.
So in patients with Alzheimer's, the most commonly affected gene that is affected is the APOE, and most specifically, it's the APOE4, in other words, the E4 variant. And so this is typically found in the chromosome 19. And then, so as I said, this is found in chromosome 19, and there's a picture on the right. And so currently the direction of research is that the FDA has approved 2 types of medications for Alzheimer's. So they don't treat the cause of the disease or slow down its progression, but these drugs do help with problems in memory and thinking. So the 2 drugs types are cholinesterase inhibitors, and so these include drugs such as Aricept, Exelon, Rezidine, and Memantine. And an example of this would be Namenda. So as research continues on Alzheimer's, scientists have been able to focus on target areas that narrow down their research pursuits. And so these two target areas that scientists are looking to combat Alzheimer's and focus on is beta amyloid and the tau protein, as we discussed earlier. And so we said that beta amyloid is known as a large proponent of the plaques. And so we discussed plaques and basically the apoptosis of the cell is caused by the tau protein. And so so as I said, beta amyloid is a large proponent of plaques. And in studying beta amyloid, scientists have been able to make significant findings in the way the protein is clipped from its parent compound, or APP, amyloid precursor protein. And so this eventually forms the beta amyloid. And so the two enzymes of beta secretase and gamma secretase clip the protein from its parent compound. And so this forms the beta amyloid protein. And so scientists are trying to narrow down their research and basically target this protein and look further in depth with how it affects Alzheimer's and progressively deteriorates memory. And so next in-depth research is also being performed on the mechanisms that basically cause the tau protein to basically collapse and twist into tangles. And so this formation is detrimental to the microtubules, as eventually the whole neuron itself can destroy. And obviously this causes the progression of Alzheimer's and the deterioration of memory.
Okay, so the next direction of research is, as mentioned before, there's no current drug that provides a foolproof cure to Alzheimer's disease. Currently, there's only drugs that combat one neurological pathway of Alzheimer's, where currently there are 4 neurological pathways. So researchers currently are attempting to find drugs that help to oppose mitochondrial dysfunction, destroy protein inclusions, fight uncontrolled oxidative stress on the brain, and help to fight pro-inflammatory immune processes. As Jacob mentioned earlier, some of these new drugs are the beta amyloid drug and the tau protein drug. And currently, another drug that's being studied is aducanumab, and this is an antibody that sticks to amyloid molecules, and amyloid molecules are what form plaques in the brains of people who have Alzheimer's disease. So once this antibody sticks to a plaque, it often signals the body's immune system to destroy the plaque, and this will help slow the progression of Alzheimer's. But this is just one instance of a drug that helps to affect all neurological pathways that are involved in Alzheimer's disease. Another recommended change that's which they're going with in the current direction of research to help better the cures to Alzheimer's is by changing and using more accurate and precise tools to detect mental decline in patients. So currently, doctors are using the mini mental state exam, and while this is an accurate result to detect mental decline in patients, researchers suggest that they use the dementia severity rating scale. And this is just a more precise and accurate test to detect the severity of each Alzheimer's case and to better locate the origins of the disease. So with the combinations of new drugs and new testing methods and brain exams to detect Alzheimer's, a better cure is soon to be discovered. And then this is our works cited.